Welcome to Scone Baking Beyond. Hi, I'm Kathy, and I enjoy making scones, muffins, cookies, and all sorts of delicious baked goodies. Today, I'm going to show you how to make my red, white, and blueberry scones. These delicious scones are a fun and festive way to start your 4th of July celebration. They're filled with strawberries and blueberries and with a white vanilla icing on top. And then I had to add just a little bling to them with my red, white, and blue stars. So, let's bake. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 8 tablespoons of butter and we're going to grate it. And then we're going to put it up in the freezer. Okay, now that our butter's all grated, we're going to put this up in the freezer because I want to keep this butter as cold as I can for as long as I can. Because we're going to add strawberries to our scones, and strawberries have a lot of water in them, I want to blot them and get as much water as I can out of them. Because all this water in these strawberries will make your scones a little more gummier and you won't have a really good texture on your scones. So I'm going to blot out my strawberries and I'm going to let them blot for a while. I'm just going to leave them here, get as much moisture out of them as I can, and I'm going to set these aside. Our butter's in the freezer, so now it's time to put our dry ingredients together. I have here 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose unbleached flour. I have 1/2 cup of sugar. I have 1/2 cup of whole wheat pastry flour. I like adding a little whole wheat flour, but I use whole wheat pastry flour because it's lighter in texture. So 1/2 cup of whole wheat pastry flour. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to get this all mixed together. Here I have my 8 tablespoons of butter that I grated, and it's nice and frozen now. What's going to happen is that this butter is going to stay cold, and before it melts in our scones, it's going to create a little steam, and that steam is going to create nice little layers in our scones. And that's one reason why I grate it up. The other reason is, now that I've grated it, I don't have to cut it in or anything. I can just stir it in and just make sure, there's a little piece overboard there, and just make sure that every piece of butter gets covered by the flour mixture. So now we're going to add 1 cup of cold buttermilk. And we're just going to stir this until it just comes together. It may be a little bit loose, and that's okay. But I don't want to overmix this at this point. Because if you overmix your scone dough, it will come out tough. And we would like our scones nice and light and tender. There we go. If there's a little bit of flour left in the bottom of the bowl, that's okay. I'll just discard that. Okay, so now we're going to leave a little bit of the scone making world. And we're going to go into a little bit of the croissant making world. So I'm going to roll this out into a 12-inch square. Okay, let's see how we're doing. Perfect. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this into thirds, and we're going to add some layers into our scones by folding that into thirds. And I'm going to fold this into thirds. I'm going to fold in thirds the other direction and the other direction. And as you can see, it's kind of sticking together and sticking on my board a little bit, and that's okay. We're going to roll it out again, so that's okay if it's a little sticky right now. We're going to add a little flour to our board here. There we go. And because I've handled this dough, I'm going to put this back up in the freezer to get that butter all chilled out again. While the butter's in the freezer, it's time to put our fruit in the freezer. I have 3/4 cups of blueberries, and I have 3/4 cups of sliced strawberries that I've been blotting dry. And I'm going to put them in my bowl here. And again, we're trying to get as much moisture out of these strawberries as we can, because that moisture will change the texture of your scones. We're going to put these up in the freezer for about 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. I got our dough out of the freezer. I got our fruit out of the freezer. It's time to roll this out into another 12-inch square. Okay, let's see how we're doing. There we are, just kind of straighten it up a little bit. And it is 12 inches by 12 inches, just perfect. So now we're going to add the fruit. We're going to add our blueberries. And this is a great way to add your fruit without crushing your fruit when you're making scones. Is you roll it out into a 12-inch square and then add your fruit. That way you get nice pieces of whole fruit in your scone. Now, I try to go through and make sure all the end pieces are going to get a lot of fruit too. So I try to distribute this out a bit evenly. And then I kind of squish it down a little bit. There we go. That looks good. I think that's pretty well done. And now it's time to add our strawberries. We'll just lay those out. And again, we're trying to get every piece of scone with strawberries and blueberries so that in every bite you get strawberries and blueberries. Okay, now we're going to roll this up just like you would a cinnamon roll. And you want to roll it up as tight as you can, but just remember this is not a yeast dough, so it has no stretch to it. So you will tear your dough if you roll too tight, but we do want to try and roll it tight. And sometimes if it sticks on the board, just give you a little scrape there, and it'll come up. And try to keep it 12 inches long here. So I'm going to roll it all the way over and just kind of pinch this up just a little bit, not too much. I'll kind of keep it a little closed when it comes to baking it. Now I'm going to cut this like you would a cinnamon roll. I'm going to cut into 12 even pieces, so I divide that in half. And my scraper here has inches measured on it, so I know where 6 inches is and then where 3 inches is. There we are, they're all cut up. So now I'm going to put this on my baking sheet here. And for the end pieces, I'm going to put them cut side up. I have 1 egg slightly beaten, and I'm going to brush the tops of these with the egg. That will help them be golden brown, and I know they're going to be delicious. There we go. They have their egg wash on them, and I preheated my oven at 400 degrees, and I'm going to cook them for 16 to 18 minutes. Okay, it's been 19 minutes. And our scones are done. The first thing I want to do is take these scones off the baking sheet because I don't want the bottoms of these scones to cook any more than they already have. So let's slide them right off with the parchment paper. I'm going to let these cool until they're completely cool, and then it's time to ice them. Okay, our scones are cooling, so now it's time to make that white vanilla icing. So I have here 1 tablespoon of buttermilk. I have here 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 teaspoon of clear vanilla extract. I'm just going to kind of give that a little whisk together, and then I have 1½ cups of powdered sugar. I'm going to add about half of that to start with, and just stir very slowly, otherwise you'll have powdered sugar everywhere. And we'll finish putting the rest of the powdered sugar in. And because we really want white vanilla icing, I'm going to put in about 5 drops of this white food coloring gel. So now we're going to get our Ziploc baggie here. And this is a sandwich size Ziploc baggie. And I cut a little, about a 1/4 inch hole in that corner right there. And we're going to put this, I always fold this back a little bit so I don't make a mess all over my Ziploc baggie. And get our whisk out of here. There we go. And now, try and put this nice, look how white that is. That's really nice. Here's our scones. They've cooled completely. Look how beautiful they are. You got blueberries in there, you got red strawberries in there. And now it's time for the white part of our red, white, and blueberry scones. So now we're going to drizzle this on the top. And we're just going to give it a nice little drizzle. There. Oh, that looks so good. Now you have red strawberries, white icing, and blue blueberries. But we're not done yet. It's time to add just a little bit more bling to these red, white, and blueberry scones. I have here some white stars, some red stars, and of course some blue stars. And we're going to put these on each scone. So start with the white ones and just kind of put them around however it kind of looks good to you. And I typically put about 7 of each color on there. Okay, now for the red ones, and put about 7 of these on each one. And now the blue ones. Don't those look wonderful? So it's time to try one. Get my plate here, my knife. So try this one here. I'll cut it open so you can kind of see the blueberries in there, the strawberries in there. There's the strawberry. And the white icing on top. So the red, white, and blue. The red, white, and blue stars. So let's try one. You get the strawberry and the blueberries. And because I rolled up the blueberries in there, you get all these wonderful whole blueberries in every bite. That vanilla icing, these are so good. For the complete recipe, please go to my website, sconebaking.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. These are good. Have a little bit more.